Where in the world have I been and what have I been up to? For my old listeners, I'll be giving you a quick, hopefully, recap of the last 14 months of my life. And for those of you who are here for the first time, I'll provide a brief introduction. And for everyone, I'll be sharing some of my goals for the coming year with regard to my life and this podcast slash YouTube channel. I'll be as brief as possible, but let's be honest. I am who I am, and I'll just do my best. In our appearance-driven social system, toxic productivity and diet culture are considered especially heinous. In Denver, Colorado, a dedicated goal-getter seeking to crush these vicious lies is the founder of an elite squad known as HealThy. These are her stories. Hopefully by the end, you'll be intrigued enough to tune in to my next episode. What I did do was I'm going to break down the content that I wanted to cover this week into 3 separate episodes because I value your time. And I also don't want to gloss over anything and, leave anything that I feel is important out. I'm Tia. I'm super passionate about planning, prioritizing, and crushing my self-prescribed goals. That said, I'm a natural born leader. I say that lightly because an extroverted introvert, because you won't be able to tell here that I have a difficult time. I do love to talk, but I'm not super outgoing when it comes to, real life and talking to people. I mean, I will, but I'm very more observant first, which might be why I love YouTube. And then when I have a certain level of comfort, then I can kind of break out my shell. But in other words, I can turn it on when I need to and turn it off when I have to, or it's off most of the time. That said, I have dabbled in the coaching space. Spirit in the title of the podcast is actually an acronym for the ideals that I try to center around each goal that I'm setting out to achieve. I'll go over them real quickly here. It's a lot because Spirit has 5 letters, but I'll talk as fast as I can. It's really all about mind, body, and soul, not in that order necessarily. The S in Spirit stands for sanctity or spirituality. Or your soul. I am a Christian and God's girl first, but like the rest of humanity, I'm not perfect. And sometimes I struggle balancing my faith and God's plan for me with what I want to do. Simply put, I love Jesus, but I cuss a little. I have a t-shirt that says that. That's why I threw that in there. I don't go to church every Sunday. Sometimes I forget to pray. Additionally, and I want to be clear about this, while I may reference my faith because that's part of who I am, I just want to reiterate that all are welcome here. I would be elated if every person listening or watching decided to accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior, but that is not my goal here. And if you are not a believer, I love you anyway. There is no judgment or condemnation where I'm concerned. That's between you and God. The P is for physicality, which covers body. So this is the aspect that encompasses your physical well-being, health-related things, balanced eating, exercise, my personal weight loss journey. The I is for identity. So we're hitting the mind there. I'm a huge advocate of mental health well-being. I mentioned previously that I am a mindset kind of life coach. And I've also struggled with depression in the past and figuring out where I fit in the world. I found that self-identification is a huge part of that. Who do you say you are? Who does God say you are? Who does the world say you are? And who are you really? And what role does your brain play in all of this? So sometimes, depending on what I'm talking about, I'll definitely touch on that. The R is for resources. With resources, I just mean that I'll share the tools that have helped me, ranging from books, podcasts, other YouTube creators, to the actual physical things that I use that have worked for me. At the time of this recording, I am not a paid creator. I have no sponsorships or affiliations or anything like that. Anything I recommend to you will be because I have used it and I love it. Now, some companies do provide like referral links to basically everybody that buys from them as a means to market their business by word of mouth. And typically, if you use that link, then it'll give both you and me a discount. So those might be included depending on what I'm talking about, but I'm not getting paid cash money and I'm not partnered with anything about anything. I am all about saving money, and that's pretty much the extent of that. If by the grace of God, this channel does become monetized and or a company offers to sponsor me, you will be the first to know. The second I is for implementation. I'll always share the ways that I've implemented the things that I'm telling you about here. That said, I'm not a doctor, dietitian, or in any way giving you medical, financial, or theological advice. I'm just a chunky girl trying to change certain aspects of my life so I can be who God created me to be. I'm sharing my story and my choices with the information that I've found. The other day, I was listening to the podcast On the Pen. He was interviewing Dr. Beverly Chang, and she said that information is not education. And I couldn't agree more. Do your own research and due diligence. Don't use what random people on the internet say as your sole resource for making your huge life decisions. That's all I'll say about that. The T is for testimony or truth. This is where we are all trying to get. I will always share my truth, whether it's a blessing or a lesson. You know, in my opinion, nothing is wasted, and the results are what really help us figure out which way to go and when it's time to course correct. So in any case, I'm putting it all out there, and I will tell you my truth, which I say again is not necessarily your truth. So maybe you're a high achieving individual with life goals, looking for ways to hit your targets, or maybe you're someone on a journey who wants insight and encouragement from someone else who's in the same season of life. Either way, you're in the right place, and I welcome you. That was a much longer introduction than what would normally be the case for future episodes. But if you're still with me, hang in a little bit longer. I do want to accomplish 3 main points with today's episode. So let's get to it. Number 1, what have I been doing for the last 14 months that I haven't recorded? And if you haven't watched previous videos, it's okay. I was kind of going in one direction and decided, now I don't even know if it was a conscious decision, but I got to the point where I wasn't recording. Partially that, could be work woes. I do work full time. I had some, that kind of slowed down a little bit, and I did pick up a second job. I also go to school full time. Originally, or I guess last year when I was recording, I was attending Colorado Christian University because I just, giving you a little bit more background. Originally, I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I moved to Silver Spring, Maryland, and raised my kids there when they were my youngest was in 4th grade, and in a little over a month, he'll be 21 years old. So I moved there when he was in the 4th grade, and we lived there until the youngest graduated from high school, which also happened to be a COVID year. So his senior year was virtual, and that's a whole nother story for a whole different episode. But that's not what we're talking about here today. What am I studying? Oh, so where I was going with that, and I am a squirrel. I apologize in advance. I get off topic quite a bit, but I do remember and circle back, and there's always a point to whatever it is that I'm trying to explain to you. With the school, I was attending Colorado Christian University here in Denver because my fiance, after my youngest graduated from high school, we moved back to Fredericksburg, Stafford County, Virginia, which is about 45 minutes away from Richmond, where I grew up, because that's where his family was. And my we stayed there for a year. And then when I say his family, I don't even know if I'm mentioning, but my fiance, life partner, whatever you want to call it, at this point, we've been together for over 12 years. So he got promoted a year after we moved back to Virginia, which moved us here to Denver, Colorado, where I currently am. We've been here 2 years this month, actually, almost to the day, exactly, because I'm recording this on July 21st. And I think we moved here, we arrived around this time we were driving here, this time 2 years ago. And so my youngest stayed back in Virginia. He still lives in the house in Fredericksburg. My oldest is still there. It's a long story, but I didn't actually give birth to our oldest. That is my stepson, who I refer to as my son because I, pretty much raised him his whole life. And he is still living there. My in-laws live down the driveway from us. So he lives there. He has basically one side of the house that he lives on. Once he came back from school, he stayed there with them. So he's working full time and, being an adult. And then my middle son, which is the first one that I gave birth to, actually lives here in Denver by coincidence. He went to, finished school. He graduated from college and decided to take a job here in Denver. It's just purely coincidental. So he's here as well. He lives about half an hour from me, but also adulting. So I'm going on 2 years as an empty nester, just me and Vaughn. And yeah, just doing life, figuring things out. It's quite different. And, that identity piece comes into play, but again, not the topic of today's episode. So what am I studying in school? My full-time job, I'm actually a licensed mortgage loan officer. Anybody that lives in America today knows what the housing industry is doing. I work for the same company that I came to work for here when I moved to Denver, or actually I started there slightly before. I do work from home, so you will see a lot of t-shirts and leggings as my video attire because that's pretty much all I wear. Maybe I'll change it up a few days a week or every once in a while. But for the most part, what you see is what you get. And I'm also currently batch recording, so you may see this outfit again in the next 2 or 3 episodes. Being said, things were slow last year. I did pick up a second job. I am in retail. I actually work for Target, and I'll say, nothing that I say on this podcast is in any way represents, Target Corporation or anything like that. I just mentioned that for background, just so that you know. I'm a part-time employee there, and they actually have a really, really good benefit. So this is just a side note for anybody who is looking for a part-time job that pays pretty decent and has benefits for part-time employees, but they actually have an education plan. And I was able to transfer schools because Colorado Christian University is not one of the ones that they cover, but they're paying full tuition at the school that I'm attending now. So I did transfer, and I am finishing my education because I did go to college initially right out of high school, but took a break because of life. And I talk about that in other episodes. But getting an accounting and finance degree with a minor in human resource management and also a compliance certificate. So I know that sounds like a lot, but as you get to know me, you'll come to know that I don't know what to do with myself. My time needs to be filled all the time with many things. So I don't know. I'm a glutton for punishment, masochist, whatever you want to call it, but I can't help myself. That pretty much is kind of, explains what I do on a day-to-day. I did turn 45 this year. So my birthday was in January. And then, this is part of my life woes, not, sad about turning 45, but on that very same day, the father of the two children that I gave birth to actually passed away on my birthday. So dealing with the fact that now the day that they celebrate my life is also now the day that they have to remember their father's death. So that's, a whole can of worms that, we're not going to unpack here because that has nothing to do with anything, but I'm just sharing with you kind of what I've been dealing with. So that's in January. And January is usually like, for somebody like me, that's all about goals and a fresh start, even though turning the page of the calendar does not mean, that anything that was the day before on December 31st is not on January 1st, but it's just a good marker that me and, lots of other people use to kind of get back on track. Needless to say, I did not get back on track this year with the way that it started off. I fast forward to about April is kind of when I decided to commit to my health journey. And I'll talk about this a little bit more in the next episode, but I had previously had weight loss surgery in the past, lap band surgery, which doctors don't even do anymore. Lost weight, gained it back, lost weight again, gained it back. So anyway, this year in April, I went to a physician and sought out what I need to do to get rid of the lap band because I just want to get it taken out and kind of, have a restart. And I'll tell you more about what happened as a result of, that little decision or task. But you'll have to come back for that because we only have a few minutes here today. So the second point I want to cover is why did I decide to start recording again? Well, as I mentioned, my focus has definitely changed with my life, the season of life that I'm currently in. So obviously the podcast is going to reflect that current season in life. The foundation of Heal Thy Spirit, if I can get the words out, which is a play on words, heal thy spirit for a healthy spirit. So, take a look at it on, on the thumbnail if you, if you don't get it just by listening in. As I was saying, so the focus of Heal Thy Spirit is planning, prioritizing, and crushing goals. So that's what the foundation is. That's where it's going to stay. What's changing is that, now in this current season of my life, my primary goal is weight loss. So I am doing this for accountability because when I show up, I tend to do the things that I say that I'm going to do. So if one person is listening or a million people are listening, I'm at least giving myself that accountability to show up and to report back. And knowing that video needs to be recorded is going to help me make sure I do the things on the day-to-day when the camera's off to, accomplish the goals that I've set out to achieve. I'm here for encouragement, yours to give it and to receive it. The accountability part is a little bit selfish, but hopefully there is somebody out there that can hear my story and, take from it what they will to create their own story. Next, after I'm done with the weight loss portion of it, I'll probably talk about finances. I'll probably talk about career stuff. I'll talk about just all the things that I talk about. And eventually, who knows? I do want to give a quick shout out to Ange, Jill, Cheryl, and Alonda. They are fellow YouTube creators that I have found in recent months since I've been on this weight loss journey, and they have cheered me on from afar, virtually, like I don't know them in real life, but I feel like I know them because of these videos. And each of them in their own way has reminded me that I do have a story that could potentially help others. So I am doing the thing and finally putting this out there. Also, quick shout out to my OG bestie, Malika Burley, who has been on the podcast. Go back and watch her video when I interviewed her, that episode. You can get to know her and how she has helped me along my weight loss journey thus far and my spiritual journey as well. Also, another good OG bestie, Mandy Barres, who hopefully will come and join us on the podcast in the future. And the third and final point that I want to make today is what content can you expect and when should you expect it? Okay. I would love to say that I'm going to put out 3 videos a week, but in reality, my schedule is already jam-packed, as I've already mentioned, and life tends to happen. So we'll see how it goes and adjust accordingly. But the rhythm I'd like to stick to is having a progress update on my current goal, which we'll talk about more in future episodes. I want to do a favorite tools to hit on the resources and implementation portion of the acronym, where I talk about what I've been using to help me achieve the goal that I'm working on at that current time. So for the foreseeable future, it's going to be weight loss, but I might throw some other things in there. So even if you're not trying to lose weight, you should, check it out and see if I got a little tip for you to help you move forward in your goal crushing endeavors. And then the third video would be a testimony, something that I've learned, information, not education, something like that. So that's kind of just leaving that up in the air as, to fill in with whatever's happening at that particular time. All right. So we've reached the end, and I know it's really annoying when creatives say this, but as quoted from Luke 11:9 and Matthew 7:7, which reminds us, so I say to you, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. That's New King James Version, if you're wondering where that came from. This is me asking you to like, subscribe, and hit that bell on YouTube, or write a review on the podcast medium where you're listening so others might be able to get some value too. Don't be stingy, share the love. And if you made it this far in the video, please drop a heart in the comment section below so I can send you a message and get to know you better. We finally reached the end. Now you know what I've been up to and where the show is going. In the next episode, I will be sharing a little history of my weight loss journey and the steps that I'm taking. As my friend Malika would say, the steps that I'm taking to lose weight off my to-do list for good. I hope you're interested enough to come back. And if not, that's okay too. I appreciate you giving me a shot. Until next time, remember to heal thy spirit for a healthy spirit. May joy and peace be yours in abundance. Take care.